Hi, today I'll be filming the Reader Problems book tag, and this tag was originally created by Tiffany from About to Read. So I know I said I'd be trying to film some wrap-ups, but literally I can't even get halfway through a book right now. I read the first 50 pages and I'm like, nope, I'm bored, continue on. So until I can accommodate that problem, I don't know when I'll film a wrap-up. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my iPad, which has the questions. So, first question is, you have 20,000 books in your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? And for me, that kind of depends, honestly, but basically what I do is I will go to all my bookshelves right here and I will just look through them, and based on what I see and what I find, I'll usually pick one of those. Or if I hear a book is really good from a friend, I'll probably go buy that book on Amazon, then I'll read that one. So it kind of depends. I mean, I like to try to read new release books when they come out, but if I can't, then I'll just read something I have on my shelves, and I'll go to my shelves and find a book. The second question is, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or are you committed? So in years past, I would say that if I'm starting a book, I'm going to finish it no matter what. But now I'm at the point where I've realized that it's not worth it to read a book that you know you're not going to love, and I'm really good at judging books now, so I can usually tell within the first 50 pages if I'm going to read it or not, and sometimes it's just I'm not in the mood for that book. So if I'm reading it and I'm like, I want to read this book, just not right now, then I'll stop and come back to it later. So usually I would say that I'm committed, but honestly now I don't have time to read as much as I wish I did anymore, so if I don't like a book, I'm going to unfortunately not read it. I'm sorry. The third question is, the end of the year is coming and you're so close but so far away on your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up, and how? So this question really doesn't apply to me because I don't set goals for myself reading wise, because I think that's way too much pressure and I think it takes the fun out of reading. I don't know. I don't want to just read to hit a goal. If I want to read a 500-page book and I'm not going to get my goal, I'd rather just read what I want to read, not have to read really short books to get my goal. I'd rather just read what I want to read when I want to read it. So I don't set goals because I don't like the pressure of feeling like you have to meet a goal. Number 4, the covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? That's a struggle. So I'm not exactly sure. It kind of depends on what the series is and how into the series I am. For Jodi Picoult books right now, I'm trying to get them all kind of to match. I'm trying to, get the paperback versions and not the hardcovers. So for me, the big thing that bothers me most is when you have hardcovers and then paperbacks in the same series. I like to have all in the same kind of realm, basically. The way I cope is it just kind of depends on the series and how much I care about that series or not. But I don't read a ton of series, so usually it's more the authors I like get cover redesigns. Am I going to buy all the new cover redesigns, or am I just going to have the old covers? Basically, for me, that's the easiest way to put it. Number 5, everyone their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over shared feelings? That kind of depends. Again, I have a lot more reading friends than I used to, so now I can probably find someone who also didn't love the same book that everyone else loves. I unfortunately, don't hate me for saying this, but I couldn't get myself to read To Kill a Mockingbird. I never had to read it for school, so I read it for fun just to see why everyone loves it, and I couldn't get into it. So, but I do have a friend who doesn't like To Kill a Mockingbird, so I'm sure there are people out there who also don't like it, but I tried to read it and couldn't, so I guess it kind of depends on the book, and usually you can kind of see on Goodreads your friends who loved it or hated it, so you can kind of figure out based on that who you can talk to about whatever. Okay, number 6, you're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you deal? So this question doesn't totally apply to me because honestly, I hardly ever cry for a book, and usually the book that will make me cry, I will know it will make me cry, so I will intentionally not read it in public. And I think now, honestly, I don't read much in public to begin with anymore. I usually read in my apartment or at home or somewhere that's not public, so I usually will know it's going to make me cry and intentionally be in my house or not. I mean, I hate to say it, but not many books make me cry. Number 7, a sequel of a book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot from the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, try to find a synopsis on Goodreads, cry in frustration? So again, this doesn't totally apply to me because I really don't read series, but I did read The 1,000th Floor last year, November, December, October, sometime around then. And I didn't realize it was going to be a series, and I was reading it, and I was like, usually I wait till the whole series is out if I'm going to read a series, period. So that book, I think I'm probably going to have to go reread it or like look up a synopsis on Goodreads because that book is pretty long. And I remember the basic idea and everything of it, and I know the cliffhanger basically at the end, so I can figure it out based on that. But usually I'd say I wait till the whole series is out, but I'm probably going to go on Goodreads for The 1000th Floor. 8. You do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? So I had this issue because if people know me, they know I'm very particular and very OCD about my books. So I honestly don't run into this issue a lot, and usually if someone asks me to borrow a book, I'll just kind of brush it off because usually I don't have that book with me at the time. So then I'm just like, yeah, you can borrow it sometime, but then they probably never ask again. So like, I don't really have to run into that issue very much. I'm running into that issue more lately, but I mean, it depends. I don't know. Overall, though, I usually don't let people borrow my books unless they know how, like, picky I am about the way that my books are kept. And if they do, then they can borrow them because they know what I'm like. But it's harder for people who don't know. And I know it makes me sound really bad that, like, I'm very picky about my books and it makes me sound like a jerk. But, I mean, I purchase these books with my own money, and I go through a lot of effort and research to find books that are really cheap. So I'd like them to be kept the way that I bought them in. Like, I know that sounds really weird, but I just think it's my money, it's my stuff, my everything. Like, don't you want your things kept a certain way? You don't want them to be ruined by somebody else. Like, whatever. I feel like I'm going to just go into a whole tangent about that. So, continuing on. Reading ADD. You picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? So, this is currently me right now. So, ooh, that hit me right in the feels because that is literally me right now. I think for me, a lot of people would say you reread an old book, which I would agree with, but I'm not really good at rereading books. Or I would just say go to your like reading bookshelf and find a book you've really, really been dying to read. Or if there's a book, on your Goodreads to read list you don't own that you really, really want to read, go out and buy that book and see if that's the book that will get you out of the slump. For me, reading like contemporary romances is like the big thing. That's the thing that will always get me out of a slump. But right now, being in a reading book club, I guess you can call it that. Being in a book club, we have books to read for book club. So those books I can't really like not read. So that's kind of what I'm trying to read right now, is going and reading books that I have to read for book club. So yeah, maybe. Number 10, there are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? So usually I don't buy new release books. What I've been doing now lately is the libraries here are actually really good at getting new release books, like e-copies of them. So I go on Overdrive and I usually just like check them out that way, which is really nice because that saves me so much money and I get to read a new release book the second it comes out, which is amazing. But most of the time I'll either read it on Overdrive when it comes out, or I'll honestly just wait until the price drops, and then once the price starts dropping, I'll probably buy it. But I usually won't honestly read new release books unless I can get them through the library. Number 11, after you've bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? So that also, again, depends. Most of the time, honestly, I'm not buying books I want to read right away. It's usually books that I've been wanting to read for a long time that I find. I don't know if that makes sense. So like, example, The Night Circus. I've been wanting to read that forever, but I've not been willing to pay full price for it. So finally I just found it at Half Price Books, and that's a book I've been looking for a while. So I saw it at Half Price Books, I bought it for like $3, and it'll probably sit on my shelf for a while because I don't want to read it right then and there, but I will read it eventually. So there are always books that I'm like looking for, but then once I buy them, I don't read them right away because usually I'm reading something else and I'm in a different mood, basically. So it's not like I buy new release books and then, wait years to read them. They're usually books that have been out for a while that I buy, and then I wait a while to read them. Does that make sense? Maybe? I don't know. But those are all the questions I have to answer today. I hope you enjoyed this tag, and I will see you next time.